Hi guys, so welcome to our first lesson on geometric figures. It's titled What's My Name? Because we're going to be naming things today. So let's talk about our two learning targets. In the first video, we're going to talk about the first one, identifying, describing, and naming points, lines, line segments, rays, and planes using the correct notation. And then in the second video, we're going to talk about identifying and naming angles. So let's stick to the first one. So below are some types of figures that you have seen in earlier mathematics courses. Describe each figure using your own words. If you can recall the mathematical terms that identify the figure, you can use them in your description. So basically on 1 through 7, I'm just trying to figure out what you remember from your earlier math courses on how to name things, how to identify their vocabulary, etc. So what I want you to do is try 1 through 7 right now and press pause, and then we'll go over some answers. So let's talk about some answers. In number 1, you have a dot or a point, and you can call it Q. That's pretty much all you got. Number 2, maybe you called it a ray, maybe you called it an arrow, but it's starting at point F, going through point G, and then also point H. It's pointing to the right, kind of anything like that. Number 3, that would be a line. So hopefully you've said it was a line with some arrowheads. At the endpoints would be X and Z, passing through X, Y, and Z, something along those lines. 4, it's part of a line. Maybe you said it was a line segment from point D to point E, etc. 5 and 6. 5 is going to be an angle. So maybe you said it was an acute angle with sides meeting at point A. Maybe you called A the vertex. Number 6, again, it's an angle. Maybe you said it was an obtuse angle. One side through point R, the other side is going through point T. Both of the sides are meeting at point S. Maybe S is the vertex. And then last but not least, maybe you remember it's called a plane, maybe you didn't, but it's a plane. It's labeled X, and it's containing the following points, J, K, T, and N, or P. So hopefully that jogged your memory from previous math courses on some stuff we'll be talking about today. Now we're going to get into the naming of it, and so let's talk about a point first. So how you would name it was with a capital letter, and here's an example. If you have a point and then a P, it is called point P. All right, secondly, we have a line, and that's going to be named using any 2 points on the line in any order that you want with a symbol drawn above it. Or you can also name it using a lowercase letter. So let's look at our example. I have a line right here. I can call it AB or BA as long as you have the arrows above it. Or I can name it line with the word with a lowercase letter. All right, so 3 ways to name a line. Next, we have a line segment, which is named using the 2 endpoints in any order with the segment symbol drawn above. Biggest thing is notice that in the picture it has endpoints. In the naming of it, it does not have an endpoint. So it can be called ST or TS with just a little line with nothing, no arrows, no dots. Next, we have array. Array is named using the endpoint and one other point. The ray symbol is drawn above, so you have a little line with one arrow in one direction, and the endpoint is always listed first. That's the most important thing right here. So there's only one way to name array, starting with its endpoint and then going out. So MN. NM is not a good way, but MN is correct. All right, let's look at this reading math blurb right here. So it says line AB is read, line AB. ST with a line with no arrows or dots is called line segment ST or segment ST. And then MN with a ray above it is read ray MN. So that's how we kind of say things in math. All right, last but not least, a plane. So a plane is named by using any 3 points on the plane that are not on the same line. So we have to make sure our points are spread apart. Or I can name it with a capital cursive letter, and that would be typically in the corner, sometimes it's in the top right, bottom left, etc. So I could name this plane FGH or any other order. So if you wanted to say HGF, you could. If you wanted to say GHF, you could. Or I could just say plane with a cursive Q uppercase letter. All right, so that is how you name planes, rays, line segments, lines, and points. If you have any questions, let me know. This will be a good thing to reference. But now we're going to practice. So I want you to go ahead and try number 8, where you're going to identify each geometric figure. So tell me a vocabulary word, and then give me all the possible names. So maybe there's one way to name it, maybe there's 6, maybe there's 2. But go ahead and try that and press pause, and then we'll go over the answers. Answer time! So A was a line segment, and you could have named it QP or PQ. Just make sure you have that little line above it without an arrow or without dots. Part B is a line. You could have named it NC or CN, making sure you have the line with the arrow above it. C, you had lots of different ways to name it. So you could have picked any combination of using these 3 letters, or the fastest way to name it would be line or plain M with that cursive uppercase letter in the corner. So I listed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways to name this plane using the letters B, T, and G. It's okay if you didn't get them all. Lastly, point D, it's a point. That's the only way we can name it, okay? So let me know if you have any questions on how to name them. Otherwise, we're going to move on to our last part. So we have 9, 10, 11, and 12, kind of a check for understanding. Some of it includes some writing, some of it includes some drawing. So let's see if you can try 9 through 12 and then press pause and we'll go over our final answers. Let's go over these answers. So number 9, it wanted you to draw a ray, FE. You could have drawn it going in any direction just as long as you started with endpoint F and then endpoint E was the direction in which you were going. Okay. Number 10, Caleb said that the figure below can be named KJ. Jen says it can be named JL, who is correct. Fun fact, they're both correct. You can name a line using any 2 points on the line in any order that you want. Okay, so Caleb said K and then J. You could have said JK, JK, JL, LJ, KL, LK. Lots of things like that. You just cannot name it line KJL. So we don't need 3 points. We need 2. Pick your favorite 2 and you're good. Number 11 is SR, a possible way for the figure at the right. That would be a no. So what they did incorrect was they did not put the endpoint first. So we got to make sure that endpoint R is the first way to name it. So we could have named it with the R and then an S. Only way to name a ray. All right, last but not least, 12, Graham draws a point. Maybe you did this, maybe you called it a capital letter, and that is how you name a point. Draw a dot, put a capital letter, and you're good, okay? All right, guys, that takes us to our final lesson. So by the end of this, hopefully you are able to describe, identify, and name points, lines, line segments, rays, and planes using the correct notation. Let me know if you need any help. I'm going to end us with a math joke. I have snakes on a plane over here. Haha. All right, so if you feel confident on that, go ahead and begin part 2, where you're going to be identifying and naming angle relationships. Thanks for watching.